All right, look at that. Oh, that's so sweet. That's a younger, thinner dude with his bride. And that was, for me, what a big day. It was the start of a new life, the woman for me. And, I told the pastor yesterday, she was a woman of virtue. And I had been anything but virtuous. And I had not been living my life the way I should have. And when I met her, even though she's several years younger than me, she let me know there ain't going to be no funny business. And so there was no sexual activity for Greg. And Greg was very upset about that. And Greg would try and talk her into anything. And out of things too. I was working on that, brother. I was going to try and get where I wanted to be with that girl. And I would even tell her, you really think that's smart? You really want to wait till you're married? You won't even know if you like it. I was working, getting searchable with it. Somehow I would get through. But what happened in a short period of time, she got through to me. And I put 70,000 miles on my brand new vehicle in 1 year to see her on nights and weekends far away. I would show up for my next Army formation at Fort Bragg, not having slept. I would drive just in time to show up for morning formation and not sleep, just to have time with her, because I saw something special in her. And because she made me abstain, I learned more about her than I had known about anyone I'd ever met. And because of that, we had a great relationship from day one of our marriage. And it has sustained us. It has stayed the course through unimaginable trials. But I believe that if our marriage, if our relationship was based in any way on sex itself, then after I was wounded and couldn't have sex for 2 years, after she was going through cancer and had some issues there, we couldn't have had sex. Did it matter? Did it end us? No. Because our relationship was based on something real. Just like a good friend. Shouldn't we be friends? Shouldn't we be friends first? So, message to macho men. You're divorced for a reason. Okay? Base your relationship on something above the waist. Let's try that for a change. Next slide. Okay, so this is another world, all right? That's far away. That's not here where we're in clean, well-lit places with great food, driving through Starbucks, ordering a venti latte, because everything's right in the world. That's 130-degree weather all the time. Dust storms. And lead storms, too. Next. And those bombs going off in the background, those bombs are killing people. Oh, yeah. And then they're even more angry. And so they're trying even harder to kill you. That is supplies that were parachuted in when you run out of ammunition, water, food, fuel. It has to be dropped into you from airplanes in remote operations like we were doing in the Special Forces at the time. Next. Next, please. Okay? And you burn what's left. You burn the pallet material, the strapping. Anything that you don't use, you burn it, because the enemy is liable to use what you've left against you in some form or fashion, whether it's an early warning device, some kind of marker, or even part of an improvised explosive device. Okay? That's a 2,000-pound bomb going off more than a mile away. The ground drops out from under your feet even when you're that far away. It's like the ground moves 6 inches under your feet. It's devastating. And what you can't see in that photograph is that over my shoulder behind us, there were women and children standing outside their shelters. And they were afraid. They were in fear that the next one of those might fall on them. And as I looked at that, it was a very emotional time for me because I had a wife and an infant child at home. And I pray that they never have to see something like that from our yard and your yard. And so as long as we have the will to fight, as long as there are Americans who will volunteer to keep us safe, I think we ought to fight that fight. Next slide. Next. These are camels out in the middle of the desert. And that was my wingman, Zach. He was on a Mark 19 belt-fed grenade launcher, fully automatic. And I was on the 50 cal. So everything you could see was my responsibility, and things you couldn't see were his. Yeah. So no idea why the camels were out there. No idea. I still don't understand that. And that's the camel dude. Not sure why he was there either. He had a pretty good sense of humor, but it might have been dehydration. Two different shades of smoke there, because when you blow up your bomb, it detonates others. So there was bad guys storing stuff there, and they'd been using women and children as human shields for quite a while, until we could sort that situation out and make it safe for the village, and then destroy what they were going to use against us. Next. Now this is what happens when there's a casualty on the ground over there. Everybody works hard, everybody available works hard to try and save a life, package them up, and get them out on a chopper. Next. And even though the battle is still raging on, not very far behind these guys, they can't help but stop and watch as that chopper is going to lift off. And they're thinking about the last picnic, the last family picnic that they had as a unit. And they're remembering the spouse and the children of this soldier. And they're wondering if they're going to make it or not, and what's going to become of that family. And then they're wondering what the next family picnic will look like without that family. These are hardships. These are daily hardships that our American warriors are up against every day for us. And I'm right here with you. I'm retired now. My friends call me a fag, former action guy. And that's all I got. I'm not active duty anymore. I'm on the bench. I don't get to fight. But I don't really feel frustrated, because the culture of service in our country is not dead. It's not even dying. It is still strong today, and I feel like if we as citizens, as Christians and Americans, work hard to keep a tight weave in the fabric of America, it's going to be all right. Next. If you think fighting is always violent, I want you to consider that I handed out a lot of blankets. I want you to consider that as a medic, I delivered a lot of babies. I pulled a lot of teeth, from people who were miserable. I helped a lot of people. We helped people. We dug wells for people that had never had a hygienic water source in their entire life. Good drinking water? Wow. Imagine that. So we're changing lives over there, and we're showing people what it means to be free and what love and compassion feel like. You see, I think Americans, no matter how aggressive we can be in war and in combat, I believe Americans have always fought like a girl. We have always fought like a girl. Because if you look at what we've done in our history, we've gone everywhere on the planet. When have we fought here in the United States? No, we don't do that. But Americans have always been willing to go anywhere on the planet to help other people. And even when we don't understand their culture or have direct opposition to their culture, we still love freedom, and we have compassion for the human condition anywhere on the planet. So if you want to win, you don't want to have regrets after the fight, then fight for good reasons like Mama would. Love and compassion. And see, I actually think, if we're going to talk about service today, it doesn't start with anyone in a uniform. Nope, not at all. Some dude carrying a gun in camouflage, are you kidding me? That is not the definition of service, nor is it any kind of origin for it. I think we have to go back. If we're going to define service, it starts with our relationship with our Creator. That's where service begins. And unfortunately, guys, it doesn't go to us from there because we're the head of the household somehow. No, I think service, if we're going to make a hierarchy for it, it would go from the Lord straight to Mama. Because Mama is the first thing we encounter in life that really defines service. Because when you can't take care of yourself, she's taking care of you. When she's hungry herself, she's making sure you're not. When she's sick and tired herself, she's not resting. She's not taking care of herself. She's taking care of you. Us. And so as men, we're pretty stupid. Because we spend a lot of our lives moving forward and taking care of ourselves when there's at least one woman behind us taking care of us the whole time. Allowing for our forward progress. Allowing for our daily preparedness and our success in life. And I learned through some real hardships about that kind of service. Next. That's one of my teammates that died. He was my battle buddy. We were shoulder to shoulder and back to back through that whole battle. And he was killed. Next. Now that's a little baby. You ever heard anyone say we ought to drop an atom bomb there and flatten it out, let God sort them out? Well, you'd be killing that baby. That baby doesn't know hate. Not till we teach it. Next. Look at these kids. They're just like our kids, except they're not as spoiled. They weren't running up with grenades and baskets trying to blow us up. They wanted to hear us talk again because it sounded funny. They wanted to know if we had any candy. You know, they deserve a chance, and if we can impact them, if we can show them that love and compassion that Americans always have, before they turn 16 or 17 years old, then we can break that cycle of propaganda and make them want that kind of security in their life, that safety net that only love and compassion can bring. And they remember who brought it. They never forget that. You cannot lie to a child. I say we stay in the fight. I say we change a generation with love and compassion. Next. Next. That's marijuana. Okay, man. As we go through this legalization process, where do you think a lot of the money's going? For marijuana. It's called narco-terrorism. That's right. It's grown, and they'll tell you, oh no, this is all pharmaceutically controlled. Oh, you're crazy. They're crazy. There's a profit motive at work here. A lot of that dope is coming from places where the money is contributing directly to the bombs, the ammunition, the weapons, the fuel, and yes, plane tickets to fly planes into our buildings. That's where the money's going. So if you think it's just a nickel bag being sold in the local high school and it's not a big deal, think again. Think again, that's serious business. Next. Keep going. Next. Next. If you're unhappy with conditions here in America, there is real estate available in Afghanistan. Next. That's just a, that's an example of teamwork right there. That's the team leader, that was our captain. And he's out there digging with us. And that's leading from the front. That's showing your subordinates you're not above anything. And if you demonstrate that, they will follow you anywhere. And they will never want to see you work hard again. They will want to take that weight off your back. And on this being a better Christian at work thing, I want to say something. What is it with this brown noser thing? What is it? If you help your boss in some way, you're a brown noser. If you're courteous and you try to take some of the load off of your boss, you're kissing butt? Are you kidding me? Look, if you can take care of some of the little things that your boss is still responsible for, number one, you're going to free them up more to make better decisions that involve you and your whole team. They'll be able to focus on the important things better. And you'll gain insight to what life at that leadership level is like. And it'll make a better leader out of you. Aren't we supposed to serve each other and support each other?
Amen.
Let's stop it with that testosterone-driven crap. Support your boss. Do anything you can for him. I'll shine your shoes if I'm working for you. And I'll never have a second thought about it. Next. That's what's left of the vehicle I was riding in after it got blown up. So there I was. It was like the 5th day of fighting. We ran out of ammunition 4 separate times. We had about 7 ambushes before we even got to this point. And to save you all the battle story, because I'm not here for a bunch of fluff about me, because I don't think I'm any kind of hero or anything great, because I know there's so many more doing much more than I did. As a matter of fact, I forgot to duck on that day, and I left the fight. I left in bad condition, and I left my teammates to keep on fighting. And believe me, they have kept on fighting. 5, 6, 7 missions after that. They have been busy. So please don't call me a hero. You don't know how good it felt a while ago to see a slide for one of those songs. And it was about Jesus, and it was called Hero. That's my hero. I think that's our hero. Let's not make heroes out of men. Let's not do that. Because we should all be doing the best we can. And as Americans, it's a prerequisite. It's just a condition of life that we do the best we can. Next. Now that's a flag that they flew on top of the hill. That's my team leader, and they folded it up, and they were supposed to give that to my wife at my funeral because the word had gotten out that I was dead. Next. That's my butt. Next. So that's an entrance wound from a 1-pound piece of shrapnel that came from a 105 howitzer shell. There were 3 of those strapped together. So when they pushed a button on a cell phone, they pushed a code on a cell phone and hit send as my vehicle was driving by. And this was in the middle of a shooting engagement. And they were waiting for the right time. And boy, did they get it. They blew up the vehicle, and then there was someone else at a distance with a machine gun who wasn't supposed to start shooting and give up their location until the bomb went off. And then anything still moving, they were supposed to shoot up. So I'm crawling away from the vehicle. My intestines are hanging out that hole you see in my hip. And I couldn't pick them up. I could only pick up one little spot, and the rest would slide out of my hands. And it was frustrating. And I have more patience at the grocery store now. There's a lot of things we take for granted. And I was given a golden opportunity to see that this ain't no big deal. It's no big deal in our day-to-day trials and adversities. It really isn't that big of a deal. Next. Okay, so on the right front there's another hole. And this is weeks after it happened. But I got a Forrest Gump wound. Something bit me in the buttock. And so they shot me through the butt, and it blew out my pelvis on the right front side. And disappointing. And, with that kind of trauma, I wasn't sure what the damage was. Next. Okay, but it's all okay, right? It's all okay. I survived. I lived. And for 2 hours on the battlefield, I had capable hands taking care of me. But let me tell you something. I, as a combat medic, as a Special Forces medical sergeant, I had seen wounds like that on many people. But they were all dead. So I know, I hear it every day, you hear it every day, we see it on the news, we read it in articles, we hear it from so many people. I should have died. I shouldn't have lived through that. Well, you're hearing it again, because I shouldn't have lived. And to be honest, there was no scientific explanation for my survival out there. I lost too much blood. Okay? Clinically, there's no explanation for my survival. It was God.
Amen.
It was God. And so you're looking at a fellow right here who used to make fun of people. I spent a good portion of my life making fun of folks because they would be in a traumatic accident and all of a sudden get God. Ooh, yeah, I'm getting old now. I could kick off at any time. Better get God. And it was funny to me. And then I had called myself a Christian of some form because I was raised in the church, even though I deviated for years away from it. I called myself a Christian, but I was so humiliated. I was so filthy and disgusting as a human being when I met God myself in that situation. And I was crawling to Him.
Thank you, Lord.
I begged for forgiveness. And I begged Him to take me. And there was nothing else I could do. That is all.